Welcome to Cover Havoc number 2. This is part 4. So, we've gone through a lot. If you've hung with me for the last 2 videos, they're like 20 minutes long, and they were longer than I expected them to be, so I'm going to try to finish it all off right here. If you haven't really been the victim of racism, 9 times out of 10, it's because you are more than likely white, and your chance of being victimized by white people are slim, unless you're a PWT, and that is an abbreviation for poor white trash. I do not believe in calling people trash, so that's why I abbreviated it. And I do apologize if that just offended people for me just calling people trash. If you're black, you have a high tendency to stumble into a racist situation. If you are Asian, you have a high tendency to stumble into a situation that is racist, and you have a higher tendency to stumble into racist that is from either blacks, whites, or other Asians. Yes, I said that. Let me explain that before we go too deep into this video. See, here's the thing. Before the walls of Asia was opened, Asians were at war with other Asians. The Chinese didn't really like the Koreans didn't really like the Chinese. Then nobody over in that part of the world liked the Japanese. And as far as like Tahitians, Polynesians, Samoans and all of them, they kind of were just caught in the middle of bigger clusterfuck wars. Why do you think Indonesia was part of China? Because the Chinese tried to escape some communism, and they came in with the Indonesians, and Indochina was created. This is probably not 1,000% correct, but you get the gist. There are movies about the shit. Go watch them. So Asians have always had a systemic hatred towards each other. Kind of might have started with Japan's overtaking of China, and then it might have started with China's overtaking of Nepal and the Dalai Lama stuff. We're all guilty of insurrection or insurgents of some other country or another. A lot of people didn't like America because we helped South Korea versus North Korea. A lot of people didn't like America because we helped one or the other Vietnam against one or the other Vietnam. And in the ass end of that, I was being born or created. Vietnam ended in 1975, so I was 2. So, somewhere in there, when America and NATO and them were all formed, America started getting a bad rap and became one of the world's superpowers. Same thing can be said with Russia. White people didn't like white people if the white people's social status wasn't as high as the aristocratic white people. So the aristocratic white people put the lower class white people into the third citizen column with the black slaves and the refugees of Native American culture and stuff like that. Just go do your own research. You don't have to believe me. But I can tell you this. There are very few occasions where white people are racist to other white people. But there are very undocumented and crazy occasions where they are, especially when those white people are an interracial couple and they're dating black people. I've watched this, I've lived this, so you don't know about it because you haven't seen it. Now, when it gets into blacks, there have been very, very documented and undocumented cases of blacks being targeted by whites. That was called the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis, now the alt-right movement and stuff like that. And the only team that the black people ever really had was the Black Panthers. So, you can go do your research on that. Native Americans got it worse because not only did they get it from whites, but they got it from blacks. And they didn't really get it from Asians, but they probably would have if it wasn't for the fact that the gold rush is what killed most of the Asian communities when the Asians immigrated over here from China and Japan. The first Asians to immigrate over here were actually the Chinese. Chinese found gold. They never got to turn it in. They were murdered. While being forced to work railroad tracks, the Chinese got murdered by white men who found them after they found gold, and they were killed. It's not documented in the history books because they don't want you to know that. It is documented, it's just not been told. A lot of stories of Chinese being destroyed by white settlers over gold will never really be told unless some of their ancestors or descendants come forth and tell us their story. Same thing with Native Americans. As I told you in the other video, kill the Indian, save the man. And then there was reservations. So I'm not out here to destroy white people. That's not this purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to show you that everybody's idols and heroes can go dark. And when they go dark, no one wants to acknowledge it. Oh, not the guy I follow to the White House. No, he's not a racist. He's not a racist because it doesn't affect his race, which you are probably promptly a member of. But for the races that you are not promptly a member of, it affects them. Understand where I'm going with that, because what people don't understand about how racism works on a valid addition of insulting someone for a cultural or ethnic divide. Understand that. If you're a white person and you're calling a black person or an Asian person a racial innuendo, it's because that person that you are calling is of that race. You know, if you go tell a Chinese person to go eat some rice, that's a racial insult. If you go tell a Native American person to go eat some maize, it's a racial insult. If you go tell a black person to go eat some fried ass chicken, it's a racial insult. But you kind of can't really call it a racial insult because there are very few people on this planet that does not like fried chicken. Okay? I can see chicken and God having this conversation. I'm going to send you to Earth. You're going to be loved by millions. I'm sorry. Poof. Chicken gets to Earth. Chicken's running around. Why, if I'm supposed to be loved by millions, why do these people keep killing me? And my eggs. Why do they keep killing me and my eggs? They scramble my children up in the morning. They kill my wives in the evening. Oh, here comes the hunter. I gotta run. Oh, wow. I got my head cut off. Look at my body. It's running all over the place. It's spreading out like a volcano. Hey, I'm going back up to heaven. Comes up to St. Peter. All right, chicken. Go right on in. The big man's looking for you. Chicken goes up to God and goes, I thought you said everyone was going to love me. But they do. Look at their tables. They love scrambled eggs, which your females provide. They love chicken wings, which you and your females provide. They love gizzards. Need I go on? But you didn't say that when you sent me to Earth. No, I'm sorry. I just had to deny that for you because I figured that you were an animal and you didn't have a soul. But clearly you have a soul because your ass is alive and you're right back up here in heaven. So, everybody loves chicken. Don't give a damn what color you are. Everybody loves chicken. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he had this conversation with ducks and pigs and goats and cows and potatoes and carrots. You know, I'm sure God had this discussion with everything in which he created. You were going to make the best sacrifice ever because your kind is going to nourish the kind that I set down. My angels don't have to eat. They can live forever until I snap my fingers and they're gone. But you animals, will feed my other animals. And that's what we are. We are human, but we are animals. Look at how we treat each other. We racially insult people. We sexual assault people. We just all out assault people. You throw race in the mix and now you got a potluck of things that can go wrong. A potluck of things that can go wrong. Not just a clusterfuck, but a potluck of things that can go wrong. Then you got gender assault. So this is a pretty white girl. I want her. I'm going to take her. I'm an evil black man. I'm a body slammer in the alley and I'm going to rape the shit out of her. And on the flip side of that track, before that ever happened, my ancestors were probably body slammed on the cornfield, in the wheat field, and were also raped by a white and black man. Can't prove it. Can't not prove it. But historically, rape has been a thing since vaginas. No, I think the only woman that probably was never raped was Eve. And I think other women were raped or forced into rape or forced into marriages because that's just what they did. Somewhere along the line, the human race deviated from the Bible and just said, fuck it, let's just do it. That's pretty much all I can give you because I can't prove that they didn't. Can't prove that they did. But from my interpretation, that's how all this bullshit got started, which is why rape culture has never really been confronted. Just like racism has never really been confronted because none of you want to sit down and take a knee and say, damn, what if James is right? What if we all sat down and take a knee and peeled all our skin off and all we were the white meat? Would that please everybody? Probably not. Probably be really painful when the wind blows and hits that muscle, and that white meat's just staring right back at everybody. And we still haven't determined how they even discovered that. So when we died and people just skin us to see what the fuck was under us, to see what ticks, probably. There's a lot of bad things about science that we are not really allowed to know. But when you think about it, they didn't have x-ray machines back then. So we just peel them right off. Oh, this was a black guy. Let's peel everything off. So they peel them all off. So I wonder if they peel you to the end of your sexual organ. Does that disappear because your penis doesn't have a bone there? So how's that work? But like I said, we all look the same under the skin. If somebody just ripped all your skin off, you'll look like those things from Hellraiser. Point being made. We don't think about racism when it doesn't affect our race. We really don't. Think about it. When you see two white guys talking, and they look at a black guy as he walks through. Now, I'm not saying that this happens every time. How many times have you thought that those two white guys are probably going to say something racist about this black guy? 1 in a million. Because if it's a normal black guy, they're probably, cool black dude, I don't know him. Fuck him. Then you might get some white guys like, nah, fuck that black bastard. Which is a racist statement. Or if that black guy's walking by and he's an athlete, those white guys will be like, yeah, I got money on that guy. He's boxing tomorrow. I got $500 on this guy. Gotta make sure nothing happens to him. No, because I got $500 on this guy. So, racism doesn't translate in the sports community, really. Yeah, it really doesn't. If you got $1,000 on Mayweather and you got $500 on Pacquiao, because if you're voting on both of them, you're gonna win somewhere. It's a double win, and no one said that you can't bet on both people. And if they did, they never told that to me. Because you can always change your name and bet on someone and have someone else pick your money up. Because that would be the smart thing to do for you gamblers. So if I put $500 on Mayweather and give it to you and say, go put this on Mayweather, and use the name Jean-Claude Williams. And when you go back to get that $500, $250 is yours. The other $3 something is mine. Because you went over there and did that for me. But I put that $1,000 on Mayweather. And Mayweather wins in the first round. I'm still going to get my $250. It's not going to be a full amount. And that guy's going to have that money because I'm going to get that $1,000 that I put on there. It's probably going to double. So I'll walk out with $2,000. Yeah, he won. So I get my $2,000. I get my cut. Mayweather's going to get his cut long before I get my cut. Mayweather's check's already cashed. But you get the point. When it comes to boxing or any sporting event, if your favorite athlete is a person of color, no one sees that anymore. No one. Except for that one time where Serena Williams, no relation, one of the Wimbledons or something, and people started giving her death threats and all kinds of other shit because she was black. And then it happened to Venus. Or maybe it was Venus that won. One of the damn Williams sisters won, and there was all kinds of bullshit that was going on. When Arthur Ashe won, he got death threats. When Tiger Woods won, he got death threats. So like I said, for the most part, when it comes to your athletic prowess, you're playing football or basketball or baseball or some authentic sport, racism takes a blind eye. Unless you're on the team that lost. And then they're all back in the locker room talking about some backstabbing black bastards and all this other crap. And if you are a sports person, I'm telling you the truth. Maybe if that dude was white, he probably could have caught the football. You don't hear it, but it's out there. It's out there. If it ain't out there, it's out there. You just don't know it's out there. But this is the only time that racism takes a back beat. But 9 times out of 10, if you're not in the race that's being insulted, racism doesn't affect you. It really doesn't. How many white people up until the Black Lives Matter movement came out really did anything before that about racism? Probably about 10%. Probably about 10% because those 10% of people are actually in relationships with black people. Or part of their family members are black. But they convinced some of their white friends to join up with the white friends who are in relationships with black people because they understood how it affects their friends. So they started uniting. Same thing can be said for blacks to help whites. Same thing they can say for whites and blacks to help Asians. But again, as I said before, if you're not in the race that is being racially assaulted, or racially challenged, or racially deprived, or racially oppressed, racism doesn't matter to you. Which goes back to why I said, everybody has darkness. So if you're following a person whose rhetoric is racist, and it's about your race, do you not look in the mirror and ask yourself, what the fuck are you thinking? And this is only for the people of color who are supporting Trump. I'm not saying that he might not be right, but look at what he said. You know, when it came to like Native Americans, they don't look Native Americans to me. Or my personal favorite, I have no ties with the pipeline. When I become the president, I'm not going to worry about Standing Rock. Oh, I'm the president. The pipeline will happen in Standing Rock. But he just told them 2 weeks before he became the president that if he was the president, I won't touch Standing Rock. I wanted to bring that up because it took everything I could, because I want to end this video before I have to make a 5th video. So I'm just going to let this go past 20 minutes. I wanted to bring this up because the young lady that I follow on TikTok, I'm still going to follow her, even if she's a Trump supporter. But it took everything I could, everything within me, to not write that down. And believe me when I tell you, I wanted to ask her, because she was pulling all these statistics out. You know, I mean, she was like flying through the statistics of saving Trump's ass so that he could still be the president. Oh, that's not helping. But she literally, put you this way and see what happens. I'm having a malfunction over here. You know, my little axe. All my shit was about to fall and hit the floor. And yes, I could hear Drowning Pool playing in my background in my head, which is why I had to get up and try to fix this issue before it became a serious issue. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Yes, I listen to rock and roll music. Rock and roll music does not have a color. And supposedly, according to Little Richard, black people started rock and roll. Well, rhythm and blues started rock and roll. Anyway. I kind of forgot where I was at. But anyway. When it comes down to it, you know, if you're not in the race that is being offended, then it's not affecting you. And if it's not affecting you, we tend to see no evil and hear no evil, regardless of who's speaking it. And there's a reason why I did this and then put my thumbs in my ear. So when I revealed this, you would see that my thumbs were in the ear for hearing no evil. Because no one wants to hear when their idols say racist shit. Y'all don't think that Malcolm X didn't say anything racist? Malcolm X said a lot of racist shit towards white people. Until he found out that 40-some-odd% of the people that he was trying to support with Muslim power were white. It fucked him up. But it woke him up. Because Malcolm X was all about getting rid of white people. This, white people, that. I support Malcolm X. Well, it took me a minute to figure out why it took him so long to figure out that Muslim was not just a black religion. There are Indians that are Muslim. There are Asians that are Muslim. And by Asians, I mean Chinese, Japanese, etc. Because Indians are also Asian. From India. At least legally. And I sit there and I said, okay, Malcolm X was misled. He became a Muslim without knowing what the fuck Muslims actually were. Happens. But again, Malcolm X said a lot of bad shit about white people. But a lot of black people supported him until they found out about Muslims. That it wasn't just a black thing. You know, Malcolm X's eyes opened up real quick when he went over there. And when he came back, he almost ruined a lot of shit, which is why he was assassinated. Let's see, he didn't just die. He was politically assassinated. Actually, he was assassinated. But you know, if you're not a part of the race that is being racially persecuted, you don't really see how this shit affects them. If I could take a magic machine and put every racist in the body of the racist people that they hate, or the race of the people that they hate, they would change. If I could put you in a machine and pop on some magic glasses, and your body transformed into a white woman because you hate white women, and you had to be a white woman for a day, experience a day in the life of a white woman. Now, no harm would come to you physically. We wouldn't let you go through anything harsh, you know, unless we didn't know that she was a rape victim, which most people don't know who's a rape victim and who's not. But you would change your perspective. You would not be disrespecting white women if you were a black man. Which you don't have to worry about that, because most black men don't really disrespect white women until the white women disrespects the black man. Because we like that white booty. And we like that Asian booty. And that Mexican booty. And that black booty. So you really don't get too many problems from us men of color. But if I was a white man and put into the body of a white woman, especially a white woman that I've been known to rock my wife beater shirt and smack around a little bit, my perspective would probably change. But if you could do that for everybody, if you could put Asian people who hated black people and telling them, get the fuck out my store, I don't want no trouble, into the body of that black person who they just told that to for one day, to see how harsh black people are treated by those people and by white people and by anybody racist, their perspective would change. If you could do that for a black man and put him in the black body of a woman who's black, or a woman who's Asian, or a woman who's white, to see how horrible they're treated for a day, their perspective would change. So let me ask you this before I end this video. Would your perspective change if Trump would have been saying these things about white people the way he said this shit about Chinese people, or the Central Park Five, or Native Americans? Would your perspective change? Because when I was following her letters, and she had red and blue and all this other stuff that I can't really explain, there's just a bunch of fucking numbers to me. But when she popped all that stuff up, in the video before that I watched her, she was popping up facts and laws that Trump signed and whatever. Not one time did she say something about a law that really affected black people for the better. Not one time did she say anything about a law that affected Asian people for the better. She only pointed out laws that affected some women and white people. Now, I'm 1,000% happy that there are breastfeeding stands for women to breastfeed their babies at airports that she said that Trump signed into law. I personally don't care, because if I see a woman breastfeeding, I'm probably going to stop in my tracks, because I like boobs. As bad as that may be, and as bad as that sound, I was completely honest, because I have done that shit before. I have seen a woman whip out her tit and feed a baby. It caught me completely off guard, and she had very beautiful titties. I'm sorry. Bet you guys didn't see that coming. Like I said, 99.9. I was at the mall, the Fashion Square Mall. She was not in the bathroom. I happened to be either going to work or coming from work. I don't remember, because all I remember was titties. I think she was white. She might have been white with a tan. But she had very beautiful titties. I was working at Sears or at the Learn New York, and there's a sit-down thing. It's like a triangle. It's like a trash can, a bench, trash can, a bench, a trash can, and a bench. Learn New York's right here. Sears is right here. For the life of me, I don't know where I was going. But I know she was at the bench in front of Sears. I don't know if I was coming from work or going to work, but I remember those titties. And her baby. And she didn't see me, but I saw her. And it took me a minute to snap out of it and go where I was going because I was looking at titties. So before those stands even happened, I wouldn't have cared if they happened or not, because if a woman wants to whip out her titty, she can't get mad at me for staring. She whipped it out to feed the baby, to silence the baby. I am not a saint. I am slightly a pervert. And if she's going to pop out that boob, you better believe this boob man right here is going to look at it. Not trying to be nasty, I'm sorry. But, you know, the girl went on and on about all these things that Trump signed into law that benefits some women and white people. And like I said, it took everything I could to not text in. What about Standing Rock? What about Native American casinos? What about the Central Park 5? What about the other things that he refused to address? This lady is the reason why I've made these 4 videos, by the way, in case you haven't been catching attention to this, on how no one wants to see the people that we idolize in their true light. We only want to see them and what represents what we like about them versus what we don't like about them versus the truth. Alright? Which goes back to the quarter in the other video about your side, my side, and what actually happened. Now, here's the thing on that. You know, I know I got a little off track because I forgot what I wanted to say, but I got a little bit back on track. But the point of the matter is, Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, has gone dark. Spider-Man Peter Parker has gone dark. Superman has gone dark many a times in the DC universe. Batman's the only one I know that hasn't gone dark. Tony Stark has gone dark. War Machine, not so much. Night Thrasher, not so much. But every hero that we have in the DC universe, the Marvel universe, and my fucking sibling who's talking with this goddamn light on, have gone dark. And by that, I mean they have gone bad. They have done some bad and questionable shit. You can go to ValiantComics.com, the YouTube channel, and watch the dark stuff that the superheroes have done. You can go to Looper and Comics Daily, or whatever the heck the 2 channels is. I follow them, but I can't remember them. I know you see my damn lights! Anyway, I need to end this video, which means now I have to make a part 5 because I know they see my damn lights. Thanks for watching.